Again, we're gonna take a look at this function. Each function has a name. In this case, the name is f. It requires an input to produce an output. So let's see another way in which we can have that connection between input and output. The first one was through tables. The graphs are simply a graphic representation of that connection between input and output. So let's have a look at this specific example. Once again, I'm just going to show you the notation in which you can see this specific evaluation. F composed with G of 2 is equivalent to what you see down there, F of G of 2. So that means that we have a function inside of another function, or a double evaluation. So how do we handle this evaluation, having f, and then that f is taking a function g, which is taking a 2? So let's take one thing at a time. Let's think about the g of 2. So I'm going to write down g of 2. This is posing the question, when x is 2, how much is y? Specifically on function g. So we have to focus entirely on function g. So when x is 2 right here. So we're going to see how much y is. The coordinate is 2, 3. So on function g, when x is 2, the y is 3. If you want to write that as name of the function, input, and output, we're going to have to write it as g of 2 is equal to 3, entirely based on function g. Now that we know how much is g of 2, we can replace it where g of 2 used to be, and we know that g of 2 is 3. So I'm going to write it down as f of 3. Now we no longer have two functions involved. We only have function f taking an input of 3. So let's find out what f of 3 is really about. So once again, we are asking the question, when x is 3, how much is y, specifically on function f. So function g is the purple one. The blue one is function f. So one common mistake is try to find how much is y when x is 3 on function g. We have to think about function f, which is the one down here. So when x is 3, the y is minus 2. So the coordinate becomes x is 3, y is minus 2. So we can express this as a table. When x is 3, the y is minus 2. So f of 3 is equal to minus 2. And we can state that f of 3 is equal to minus 2. In reality, what we did is we found f composed with g of 2. And the resulting value, the final output of all of that process, which is connecting the input to an output on function g, and then jumping into function f with whatever we got as the output, the final answer is simply minus 2.